Welcome to this meeting of the Alyth Common Good Fund Committee. The first item on our agenda is appointment of convener. Can I please ask for your nominations for convener, please?
Thank you. I'll propose Councillor Stewart.
Do you have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Do we have any other nominations? Okay, can we agree? Councillor Stewart?
Okay, welcome then to this first meeting of the Alyth Common Good Fund Committee for the new council session. Do we have any apologies for absence? No apologies for absence? Okay, do we have any declarations of interest in items on the agenda? There are no declarations of interest. We'll then move on to the meeting, the minute of the meeting of the 22nd of June 2016 for approval and signature. Can we agree the minute of that meeting? Yep. Thank you very much. Are there any matters arising from the minute of that meeting? Nope. Okay. We'll then move on to item 6 on the agenda, an advisory non-voting member. At its meeting on the 20th of December 2017, Council agreed that Common Good Fund committees have the ability, if they so wish, to invite a member of the local community council to join the committee as an advisory non-voting member. And the committee is therefore asked to determine how it wishes to implement that decision. I have a motion to propose. I've given copies to the ward members. If I could circulate them to committee services and to the convener and vice convener of SPNR.
Point of order, convener, if I may.
Provost.
It's unfortunate that you informed the community council a little bit earlier than you should have done. This should have been determined today before the community council was advised. Perhaps maybe we should take note of that. I think in your enthusiasm, you were a month too early.
Thanks very much, Provost. Given that the community council in Alyth has recently reformed, and this was, I think, their third or fourth meeting since they were reconstituted, and that this was a new proposal from the council in December, and the latest meeting of the community council was just last week, and that the previous meeting of this committee was 2 years ago. I thought it was incumbent on us to alert the community council to the proposal that had been passed by council back in December, and that this meeting of the Common Good Fund committee was coming up within just a week.
Sorry, convener, I don't accept that. This should have been decided by the committee, not yourself, at that time, so you've jumped the gun. It's unfortunate, but the meeting is here to decide whether we do it or not, but you've put yourself in a position where the community council have been notified. I've got no issue with it, but I think we should keep the procedure. Okay,
thanks, Provost. Just to re-emphasise that it was a point of information for the community council last week. You're quite correct that the decision sits before us today, and you've got the motion in front of you, which I'll read out. So the Alyth Common Good Fund agrees to appoint a permanent representative from Alyth Community Council to the committee as a non-voting advisory member. Alyth Community Council should select this representative from their membership, and this representative will continue to sit in the committee for so long as they retain the nomination of Alyth Community Council, but that a substitute representative may attend should the permanent representative be unavailable to attend a meeting of the committee. The committee notes that Alyth Community Council will have agreed to nominate Peter Fairgrieve for this position and agrees that he will join the committee with immediate effect. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by the Provost. Thanks very much. Do we have any comments on the motion? Provost, do you want to?
Have we got substitutions on this? Have we got that's fine. So we can go. Yeah, that's fine. As long as they're going to have a sub.
Yeah, obviously our meetings are infrequent and during the day and down in Perth, so I thought it was wise to allow the Community Council to send a substitute. We are not always available to attend, but we're obviously here an awful lot more in 2 High Street than members of the community from Alyth would be, so I thought it was wise to let them send a substitute should that be necessary. Do we have another comment, Councillor Barrett?
Yes, thanks, Convener. I obviously only saw the proposal just now. I just wonder whether it would be useful if the community's nomination was reviewed perhaps annually. That may be a formality for the community council, but I think, you know, if in the way things work out, you know, a member wasn't able to attend, then you as convener or the members of the community, you know, might wish that you know, somebody from the community was going to be a regular participant in these meetings, rather than it being in the community council's sole gift as to the term that their nominee would serve. So I just wonder whether something that involved an annual review might be more appropriate than a sentence without limit.
Well, obviously, a substitute representative, permanent representative would have to continue to be a member of the Community Council. There is the provision within the motion for the Community Council to change their nomination at any point rather than just annually. I think specifying something as prescriptive as an annual review would be maybe unwise, given that we've just approved the minutes of the 22nd of June 2016 previous meeting of the committee. So I think that there's the flexibility within the motion to allow the Community Council to withdraw its nomination and send a replacement nomination, but that if the committee does not meet regularly, then an annual review would be a somewhat empty exercise, if you see what I mean.
Convener, can I just inject?
I think Councillor Barrett was going to come back.
Okay.
No, Provost.
I think the review is probably a good idea, because being a new initiative. I have been on this committee for some considerable years now, and I have seen several in a year. It only meets when we really have to look at some grants that have been required, and that sometimes comes reasonably regularly. Lately, it's not. And if in actual fact we ended up with 2 or 3, and I think a review, because it's a new initiative, would be a good idea, and I would propose that.
Okay. It was a decision of full council to allow non-voting advisory members. Full council could at any point, I think, change that. But if you want to propose an amendment to the motion, do you have a sec? Oh, excuse me.
As I said earlier, it's just because it's a new one, it would be interesting, and I think it'd be nice to have a review just to see how it's working to the benefit of the community.
Okay, if I undertook to put that on the agenda for the next meeting of the committee in at least 12 months' time, could we just move to agree the motion? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move, given that the motion was to invite our non-voting advisory member to join the committee with immediate effect, if Mr. Fairgrieve would like to come forward. No. Yeah, that was the terms of the motion.
I took instructions from Scott, and he said that we could agree at this meeting, and then we'd have to get the member then could come at the next meeting once the Community Council have agreed it. Which is the procedure? According to Scott.
I think that's what some of the other common good funds have agreed, but in this case we have just agreed the motion that it says with immediate effect, and we have got Mr. Fairgrieve down ready to attend only in a non-voting advisory capacity from Alyth. So if the committee's agreed, I would like to invite Mr. Fairgrieve forward. Thanks very much, Mr. Fairgrieve. I wonder if the council officer has a spare set of papers for Mr. Fairgrieve. No. Oh. Right, okay. Right, so we'll move on to item 7 on the agenda, applications for financial assistance. We have before us a report by the Deputy Chief Executive asking that we consider an application for financial assistance. I would like to clarify that the amount being requested by the Alyth and District Agricultural Show Society is not £1,032 as reported in the paper, but it's actually £660, and that aligns with the proposed projected financial outturn, the number in those in the next item on the agenda. Do we have any questions on the paper? Provost.
The only question I would like to point out is that we try to, if possible, use the interest, and there's not much interest. I think the last year was £145. And if we don't watch, we end up, there'll be hardly any money left in the Alyth Common Good Fund. So whatever we decide today, I was making a point that we have to be careful that we don't overspend. Having said that, Alyth and District Agricultural Show is a great draw. Unfortunately, it's not within the area, as we know, but it's out with, and it's run by local people. But I would suggest if we'd be very careful how much we spend.
Thank you, Provost. Councillor Sarwar.
I just had a question from the paper. It tells us the cost of the show, but it doesn't tell us how much the show actually makes, what they're bringing in.
Do we have that information?
Results this year.
We're just looking up that information from the application.
We do have a full breakdown of their income and expenditure for 2017. So their total income in 2017 was £36,285. That included sponsorship through the catalogue adverts, trade stands. They had a number of fundraising activities, such as a dinner dance. They obviously charge for entry, so the gate and catalogue takings are included there as well. Their expenditure last year came to £33,552 as compared to their income of £36,285. So they did actually make a profit last year.
Councillor Sarwar, is that all right?
Yeah, I just wondered if they were running out of profit, but they're still asking, which is, I guess, I don't know if that's up for debate or not, but
Provost?
I think that probably would be right. On last year was a very good year for them. Since they've moved to Boglersfield 3 years ago, I think, 4 years ago, they've had good weather. This year, as we all know, last Saturday, the water was coming out of our breeks. It was that wet. So I think this year they may well be running at a bit of a loss.
Okay, Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Convener. Given the Provost's point about us there not being a particularly wealthy common good fund, would it be possible to suggest to them that if they didn't require the full amount, they could consider only taking what they require? I take the Provost's point as weather dependent, but if they have another good year, they may not actually require the 660 to break even, and perhaps without being too prescriptive, we could make the suggestion the common good fund is not wealthy, and if they didn't require it and they have a nice sunny day, and let's hope they do, they might not need the full amount.
Well, I think that would be in relation to next year and any application that might be forthcoming. Councillor Simpson, I can confirm. Well, I can't confirm that the water was coming out the Provost's breeks, but I can confirm that it was a very wet day last Saturday when the Alyth show actually happened.
We're still not sure of the financial position, though.
That's a very good point. I'll just take advice on. Okay, so for a similar event held elsewhere with an application to a common good fund,
Yes.
My advice is that we have offered to underwrite any deficit up to a particular amount. Would that be acceptable to the members of the committee? Does that address your concerns, Councillor Sarwar, Councillor Simpson, Provost? So if the event had made a profit, there would be no underwriting required, but if the event made a loss up to the request for £660, that amount would be granted from the Common Good Fund. Obviously, we don't know at the moment what the financial outturn for last Saturday's event was.
All they're asking for is finance for the barriers, higher safety barriers for the event. Last year it was 744, so it's less this year. Yeah, I would be okay with that. But also to put a note that we couldn't do this every year, because that's 16, 17, they had some funding. I think we just put a little caveat in that we have to be careful, can't do every year.
Okay, so if we're all agreed then, we'll reply to the Alyth and District Agricultural Society offering to underwrite up to the any deficit up to the total amount of the application, but indicating that there are limited funds available in the Common Good Fund, and that we would not be minded to, we would be cautious about accepting a further application next year.
Yeah.
If that's acceptable to everybody, do I need a second? No, if that's agreed on a general eye then. Okay.
Just to clarify, that's up to 660, yeah?
Yes.
Up to £660, yes, Councillor Barrett. Thank you very much. So that's agreed. And we'll now move on to item 8 on the agenda, which is the financial statements for 2016, 17, 17, 18, and a projected outturn for 2018-19. We have before us a report by the Head of Finance, asking us giving us an update on the audited and unaudited figures for the 2 previous years, and detailing expenditure up to May 2018 and our projected outturn, as I said, up to 31st of March 2019. do you want to make any comments on the report, Mr. Coyne?
The report kind of does what it says, sort of thing. But following the approval of the financial assistance on 22nd of June 16, there was actually a deficit in the fund of £522. So that resulted in a closing balance at 31st of March 17 of £20,460. The only movements in financial year 17-18 related to interest. So there's £145 there, which boosted the fund back up a wee bit to £20,605. Now we're estimating again this year there'll be £145 interest. But I've just done a quick calculation. We were projecting the fund balance at 31st of March 19 would be £20,750, but if we take the 660 off that, you come down to £20,090. Okay.
Are there any questions on the report? No questions? Are there any, if I move the report, are there any comments? No? Okay, can we agree the report? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the business for the Alyth Common Good Fund Committee today. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you very much for your attendance as well, Mr. Fairgrieve.